Namaskar and welcome to day 13 of our Dhanurmasam spiritual journey. Now, sometimes some people have expressed the feeling that despite doing spiritual practice, my conditions are not improving. I have a lot of problems, and although I am doing japa, I do homa, I do this, I do that, still my problems have not gone away. So, there are different ways of looking at this situation and different ways of handling it, right? So the first thing maybe what you could do from the worldly point of view is ask some person who is worldly wise, someone who is more experienced than you. Talk to them about your problems and ask for advice on how to deal with it. Maybe they will be able to suggest you some solution which can help you lead a better life. Maybe you will understand what mistakes you are doing, what you are doing wrong, and you can overcome those and your problems may get solved. If that doesn't work, then the other thing you should consider is that maybe what you are facing is actually a spiritual problem. So you have to do remedies for that by doing spiritual practice, maybe by doing lot of chanting, prayer, kritagnyata, and also by chanting Shri Gurudeva Datta. The most important thing is the third level, that you have to understand that the moment your problems start increasing, that means God is actually beginning to shower His grace on you. You remember in the previous audio message, we talked about how Kunti asked Krishna that always give me problems so that when I have problems, my mind will be centered on you. When we are happy and everything is going smoothly in our life, then there is no reason for us. We forget to remember God. So if we have problems and we make it a habit to turn to God every time you feel something is not to your liking, if you feel that, this is like a prasada from God, let me learn to surrender to Him. Let me ask for His help and guidance in getting over this. So with that attitude, if you start doing your spiritual practice, then you will be receiving more and more of God's grace. And if that is your ultimate goal, and that is what is most important in this human janma, then we should welcome such events which cause our mind to turn more towards God. Right? There is one story which is told about Arjuna and Krishna were going together, and in one village they reached a house, and when they peeped inside, they saw there was a rich man. He's already wealthy. This rich man was praying to Krishna, and he was saying, please give me more money, please give me more prosperity, and like that. So Krishna said Tathastu, and immediately there were some gold coins that were showered on that man. They went a little ahead and then they reached the house of a poor farmer. All this farmer, he was a very poor guy, and he only had one cow, and he used to get the milk from the cow and sell it and make a living like that. So this farmer was also praying to Krishna, and he kept on saying, Krishna, let me have your grace always on me. Keep your eye on me all the time. Let me always remember you and give me, grant me your anugraha. Let me come to you ultimately. And like this, he was praying. So, when Krishna heard his prayer, also he said Tathastu. The very next moment, that cow which was tied outside that farmer's house fell down and died. So Arjuna was shocked. He said, see, this poor farmer, he had nothing, he only had the cow. And you killed that cow also? That rich man had so much and you kept on giving him more and more wealth? What is this anyay that you are doing? Why this injustice? You should understand, no, that who needs what, like that. So Krishna told him, he said, see, for that rich man, he only wanted wealth. So I gave him that. This poor man, what did he ask for? He said, let your grace be on me. Let me keep remembering you always. Right? So that cow through which he was earning his livelihood was the only barrier between him and me. He thought he could live his life with the milk by selling the milk which the cow gave. Now that the cow is no longer there, what will happen? He will turn even more towards me. So I have granted what he was praying for. Right? So when we start facing problems, and especially you may notice that as you start doing spiritual practice, sometimes there are some difficulties. We expect that because we are doing prayer of God, we want that God should take away all our problems. But that is not the solution. If it is part of your prarabdha, if it is part of what you have to experience and finish off, then maybe you will have more of them coming so that more of your prarabdha gets over faster. Nobody is spared from whatever is there in their prarabdha. We know of great rishis, great sages, of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, we know of Ramana Maharshi. They also had to undergo physical suffering. They got tuberculosis, they got throat cancer. So then if they were so great devotees of God and they had actually seen God, why couldn't they take away their disease? Why did they have to face that problem? Because that problem is part of their deha prarabdha. Whatever the body has to undergo in this birth, it has to undergo. Lot of things that we undergo are mental sufferings. So that is our mano prarabdha. We have to finish that suffering. So if you think that just because I'm praying more and I'm doing more nama japa, then God should not give me any problems, it's not going to work that way. So learn to accept that whatever problems are coming, see them as God's prasada. See them as an indication that you are getting closer to God. The other day there was a pravachanam which I was listening to, and in that the person who was telling, he told one very interesting phrase. He said Krishna has told, Yasya anugraham ichhami, viktum tasya harami. Whoever I wish to grace, whoever I want to bless, I take away their money. Vitta means money in Sanskrit. So I take away their money. Why? Because money is the root of most of the ahankara that people have. So if that money goes away from you, then that sense of ahankara, that sense of, I have everything, I know everything, will also get lost. And that is the turning point when you turn to God. So this same Pravachanakar, he told one more interesting thing. He said that we should always, be mindful of our ATM. And what was his vyakhya for what is ATM? He said ATM for us on the spiritual path, ATM should stand for any time Madhava. Always think of Madhava, ATM. So if you focus on this Madhava, on this ATM, right? If you learn to surrender to his will and accept whatever is happening in your life as his prasadam to you, then you will find that it is much easier for you to go through life in a smooth manner. Now, many times we can't directly accept it as God's will. So the first thing we can do is give up wanting to do things our own way and learn to listen to what others are telling us to do. Of course, there are limits to this in the sense that if someone is telling you to do something which is adharma, something which is wrong, or something which is grossly incorrect, you should not do that. But other than that, when it comes to your personal wishes, about something, learning to give up what you want to do it your own way and learning to accept to do as somebody else is requesting you to or telling you to do it. So go from this stage of swa ichha, svecha, to the stage of para ichha, the wish of others. So bow down to the wish of others. Do parecha. And through that path, slowly somewhere you will learn to accept that, let things happen as per other person's will. Then you will gradually move on to the stage of everything is happening as per God's will. So you will learn to accept things as Ishwarecha. So this journey of Svecha to Parecha to Ishwarecha, we have to learn to go through this because that is one of the very important ways of reducing our own ego. And to be able to do Parecha, why we should listen to somebody else? We learn by this is important because we need to get rid of my thoughts. I think it should be done this way. I want to control this outcome. I want my wishes to be fulfilled. I want to have the final say in everything. This I has to reduce. So when you are on the spiritual path, you need to learn to surrender to the wishes of other people around you. You need to learn to surrender ultimately to God's wishes. So to be able to do parecha, we should be able to give importance to their words, right? And the easiest way of doing this is to learn to see God in everybody around you. If your husband or your wife is telling you something, think that Krishna is telling you, or whoever is your Ishta Devata. think that that God is telling you this. If someone is at your workplace is, behaving a particular way and wants you to get subjugated to them, of course, office politics, all these are different issues. But in your mind, don't get rankled, don't get, upset by what is happening. Think from your spiritual progress point of view. Think that I will see God in this person. I will think that whatever I have to do is happening as per God's will. So when we do with this attitude, we can, slowly get rid of our ego and we can progress in a faster manner. So for today's activity, what you can do is make a list of events in your life which you have seen as problems, or even now what you are currently facing. Think of it and write down some 2 3 events like that. And as you are thinking of each one, think of how it could have been worse and thank God. Offer kritagnyata to your devata. Say thank you for the fact that it is not much worse than what it can be, what it is right now. Sorry. So think from that point of view and say to God that take me through this problem, help me to face it, give me the strength and courage to overcome this, and through this problem, get me closer to you. Do this activity today and make it a part of your mental makeup. It will take working at, because it's not so easy for us to do. But if you keep at it and you keep doing it continuously, you will definitely find that your life is filled with more of ananda, more of joy or bliss, which is not dependent on what is happening around you. So I hope that Krishna will grace us to be able to do these things today, and let us pray to him for guidance and help and continue with our spiritual practice. Namaskar.